stand for the pledge?
Wow, first time?
Yes, we still
I
do.
know.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Your last roll call, Sue.
Mr. Arcuri,
Here?
Mr. Bova, Mr. Brodsky,
Here.
Mr. Core, Mr. Coyne,
Here.
Mr. D'Elia,
Here.
Mr. Ford, Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. Karam,
Here.
Mr. Matolo, Mr. Sampson,
Here.
and Ms. Sesney.
Thank you. In your packet, you have the draft April 19, 2021 minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second? Thanks, Vince. Any additions, corrections, deletions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. This next item is the recertification of board actions that we did over the last year and a half. When we started that, I indicated that when we got back together, we were going to do this. Each one of these meetings was recorded, and of course, each one has minutes. So the agendas that cover what we are reaffirming, of course, went out to all board members along with the supporting documents. And I reflected in the following agendas when we actually held the meetings. For 2020, January, February was canceled. March, April, May was canceled. June, July, August, September, October, and November of 2020. December was canceled. 2021, our combined meeting of January and February, March, April, and May. So I'm looking for a motion. Thank you, Bruce. Is there a second? Thank you, Denny. Do we have any discussion, comments, concerns? And again, I want to reiterate, each one of these meetings has minutes. Each one of these meetings has a recording. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Our first resolution is an award of a contract for WTP fire system replacement. Eric?
Sure. Real quick, this went to Capital Committee, what was it, last week, I believe, or week before. The existing system's 25 plus years old. It's original to the plant. It's obsolete, no longer supported by current infrastructure.
And I don't mean to interject here, but the WTP is water treatment plant. That's our plant up in Prospect.
And this includes a complete fire alarm replacement and upgrades, including new pole stations, detector relocations, carbon monoxide detection. Our low bid, it actually came in about $7,000 below budget. Low bid was Angler plus REM Fire Systems at $39,640. This is primarily funded by 2017 IMF remaining balances, and the recommendation of award went to CPC and went through that, and now it comes in front of the full board for approval.
Capital Projects Committee recommends approval.
I'll move that.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concern? It's being moved as presented, Michael.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Now we have reauthorization of policies, remote access policy, network infrastructure security policy, mobile device policy, information security policy. Everybody received those policies back?
I believe so. And if I can just add, you may recall that under the revised requirements for public authorities, we are required to reassert these policies every year. So what you have in front of you hasn't changed since the last time they were modified. Jim Mack worked very closely with a lot of our consultants to upgrade these policies and modernize them based on all the changes we've made in network administration and firewalling, et cetera. But we are required every year to reaffirm all these policies, and over the next few months, you'll be getting ones related to human resources and other labor relations type policies as well. We thought we would deal with all the IT ones first. So if you have any questions on any of these, Jim Mack is here to be able to answer those. But they are the same policies that the board has already approved in the past, and nothing's been changed on any of them.
Do we have on the IT portion, that doesn't include like cyber, does it?
What do you mean?
Like cybersecurity policy? Would that be separate from this?
That would be a separate policy. I don't know.
There's
if
an
we have it.
update on it in
Right.
executive session.
Oh, okay.
I don't,
Oh, yeah, I see. Right there, right.
Anything else, Rocco?
No.
I've got a,
Yeah,
nothing to hold up today, but I was just curious on two things. One, on passwords, are they allowed to use a previous password? You should put that in the policy. That the part of the password structure should be not one previously used.
Okay.
Not today, but I'm just. Can people use their personal devices with access to any of the authorities' files other than email?
No.
So there's no access, and nobody's using a personal device
No.
to get to SCADA or anything like that?
No.
anything else, Bruce?
Nope.
Just as an ad, again, I'm sure all companies are different, but we had consultants come in and we were using 8 characters for a password. They actually suggested, because a lot of ours, they have a system where you can come in and try to break them, and they recommended that we use 12 to 14. I don't know if that's,
Well, that's bankers.
well, it's, I guess everybody could get broken into, I mean.
Well, are ours on regular passwords eight characters? The mobile passwords are 6, because a lot of the mobile devices have the 6
I'm
character
talking
limit.
about like your.
Yeah, we use 8 for the regular one.
And we'll be doing a more in-depth dive into the cybersecurity in executive session to get into some things that we won't say in open session.
Mhm.
So there'll be another chance to discuss some of these things.
But Rock's point, I think, is something that we're all always concerned with. That whatever is required, we should probably do better. Especially, and I know I keep sending you these articles of everybody being. It's scary now. It's getting worse.
Anybody else, anything else? A motion to approve those policies is listed in the agenda. Thank you. Rich is a second, Dave.
Dave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions or comments?
There be a move with the recommendation that Bruce made or change?
Oh, it's already a practice, so he'll put it in the
Oh,
policy.
Anything else?
Nope.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Rocco, you're gonna do the finance report
Yeah.
today?
Yep. Jim asked me to just mention a few things here, some highlights for the end of May. First is the water consumption is down 1.9% compared to May of 2020. He said, however, the consumption is down 4.3% compared to May 2019 before COVID hit. Second item to mention was the water billing is $80,000 less than budget, but $100,000 more than May of 2020's actual. And water receivables are up $333,000 compared to May of last year. That's good. Shutoffs for water service has been restricted by New York's governor's directive. Go figure. Cash flow, the significant cash deficit after January has been eliminated and a very small surplus remains. We will need to accumulate surpluses over the next months as our annual retirement and insurance payments are due. So,
The other thing I'll add is that one of the reasons why consumption is down is our largest customer, which up before until Creek comes online, has been the county wastewater plant. And they have been our largest customer for a bunch of years. Now that they're near completion of renovating it and redesigning the whole thing and using different technology, the old days of treating sewage was dilution. Now that they're using microbes and anaerobic digestion, they use a lot less water. They've actually cut their water bill in half. So that's one of the reasons why when you look at long-term consumption trend, it's down a little bit. our largest user just cut their bill in half over the last few months as they're rolling this thing out. So, and that'll be adjusted in all of our budget forecasts going forward.
Going forward with the delinquent ones, which are way up, is there any idea from what the state's going to do as far as lifting that, whether it's going to be a prorated program or is there any?
Yeah, there's a number of requirements. Our top staff has met with Ken Barbaro on this a few times. Ken was in just last week helping us prepare documents. We have to do all kinds of notifications and letters to customers, offer a payment plan. The bottom line, though, is that nobody can skate away from the bill and have it dismissed. They have to get into a payment plan. It may take some effort. We eventually may be resuming shutoffs, but none of this goes away until the executive order expires and then a 6-month cooling off period after that.
So we're well into the.
So
next
this is
year.
going to be, I mean, if the executive order stays in effect until December 31st, which is when it's expected to sunset, unless he, gets away with it before that, then it'll go through next June. But we have, again, we've met with Ken. We've gone through this very carefully. And Miligrano, our customer service, is prepared to be putting delinquent accounts into payment plans. If they break that plan, then we can go and shut them off. So we will eventually collect what's owed to us the way we normally do over the years. Sometimes it's a little bit slower because it goes to taxes and then comes in the
Will
next
there be
year.
any interest or penalties?
We're not allowed to charge interest on it as per the state law until it expires.
Are we gonna, do we have any opportunity, a lot of municipalities are getting a lot of federal money coming in, which they don't even know what to do with it, but it's coming in, right? Are we gonna benefit from any of that?
Now, as part of my upgrade, but since you asked, I'll go right into that very quickly. The county's getting money, the city's getting money, and there are some federal guidelines that say that certain portions of that must be spent on water infrastructure. So we have ongoing conversations right now with both the city of Utica and Oneida County on ways that we think collectively we could target that money. And right now, the hot topic is going to be lead services.
So, I mean, would that only be for us to use for capital improvements?
It would be specifically targeted to whatever the city or the county may agree to spend on this program. And our conversation with them thus far is probably the best way to target that would be towards this lead service thing, because they're changing the regs, and eventually we're going to be told to probably replace all the lead services in the system. So the earlier we get started on it, the better. And if there's money out there to do that.
But are the city and the county going to be restricted certain funds to be used for that? And they can't.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to be designated for water infrastructure. Some percentage of that money, obviously not all of it.
Okay.
When you say water infrastructure, I'm assuming that also includes the sewer.
Well, certain part on drinking water, other parts on sewer. But there's a set amount that has to be spent on drinking supply infrastructure, potable water. Yeah. So as I said, we're having conversation with the city right now and with the county. There's no agreement reached or anything yet, but the gist of the conversation is that this lead service thing is going to be looming. A lot of homeowners, particularly low-income folks, won't be able to afford to replace their side of the lead service. So some of this money may go towards taking care of all that. If there's no money available, we're going to be told eventually to have to do the whole thing, and it's going to be anywhere from $12 to $15 million. So the sooner we get a head start on it, the better, especially if there's federal money.
Well, between the two, there's at least $100 million in the area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much we'll see, obviously.
No,
Yeah, there's $100 million coming into the area. It may be $2 or $3 million might be available for this other thing. We'll see.
And lost revenue wouldn't be part of infrastructure, since people seem to be making up all sorts of definitions for.
I don't think so.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
The next item on our agenda is an update on the fire hydrant inspections, Jim.
I'll give a quick introduction and then I'll turn it over to Jim Mack. But some of you may know that we don't inspect the fire hydrants; we maintain them. All the fire departments in the area do, whether it's the city of Utica paid firefighters or volunteers at various departments. They inspect them. If they find a problem, they report it. Up until fairly recently, I'm saying within the last month, this has been a manual process. So they have a form they fill out. They'll fax it to us. We'll create a work order if we need to repair the hydrant, etc. What we've wanted to do is to automate that to make it faster for them, but also this way it can go right into our work order system once we review it. So the screen they're now seeing is the form that they were using, but it's automated and can go into our system. The good news, besides just reporting repairs, is that it'll be a record of every inspection. So now if there's a question about a fire hydrant in the event of a fire or something else, we'll have a record of when it was done. But Jim Mack has set this up, working very closely with the Utica Fire Department. Jim, whatever you would like to add to that, please do.
So we have a handout on this, MVWIT rollouts. The first item, we wanted to show that this was a very large effort, included multiple companies and multiple agencies, and we wanted to show that this was a large effort, involved multiple companies, multiple agencies, and we just wanted to identify those agencies and companies for the board, so you can know who helped us in this process. Second item is a snapshot of the system. This would be on June 9th, 2021. Snapshot shows the map of the hydrants in and out of service. This screen was developed for the UFD. The hydrant status, and this is developed so that the hydrants are pulled up by district automatically based on the logon of the firemen. So they will be out in their rigs, and when they call their log in, they would get just their district. They also have the opportunity to pull in the full screen or other districts if they have to move. The next item is the inspection app that's used by the UFD. They're using them on brand new tablets that were provided to them by the United County 911 Center at no cost to the city. We have questions with pre-selected answers, options to change the hydrant in and out of service. This app was developed by Caparo Technologies with input from the UFD, MVWA, and Bartlett Judas, our engineering firm. The next item is our system. So from the hydrant app, the information comes into our system, makes a record of it in our asset management module. If there's an issue with a hydrant, we can create a work order and our crews will go out and repair the hydrant. That information is then sent back to Oneida County 911, who notifies the fire department, and they will go out and re-inspect the hydrant. And if we have an additional problem, we'll go back and work on it again. If not, it's placed into service. We are able to take out many manual functions with this. And just for a little statistic, we started this on May 24th this year. To date, we've inspected 92% of the hydrants, which is 1,632. And we've had 72 work orders processed from out of service hydrants. Streamlined it. It makes information available to us without having to dig through pieces of paper. And looks like it's just working very well for us. And it's also cut down our labor a lot.
Are all the departments in our area using it, or just
Not
Utica?
yet. Started with Utica. We're going to do a video with Utica, and then Eric will be taking it to the.
I can anticipate Bruce's next question, which is the devices that the fire department are using in the field don't connect straight to our servers. It's being hosted on a separate server, and then through a secure portal, it comes into our system. So if the fire department got careless and tried to use a different device, nobody can hack that and get straight in through our firewall off the device that's out in the field.
But only we can do the transfer from the server that's working on the system to our system.
Yes. So it's very secure. It's a pull. It's not a push. So we do it.
And then once we get all the bugs ironed out with the Utica Fire Department, we'll be presenting it to all the volunteers and try to get them all in the same system.
So fire department's happy. 911 is happy. So I think it's working very well so far.
Very nice.
And any time frame on the other departments coming?
Next couple of months, I guess, right?
Yes.
I have a question,
By the fall.
Pat. I'm not sure, I mean, this doesn't have to do with firefighting directly, but with that incident at Holland Farms with the valve, is there a maintenance program on valving as well, not just the fire hydrant? Because, I mean, do they go through an exercise program? And
Yeah.
do we know that?
We have, I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate, but we have a pretty good inventory on where we have broken valves, and they're being targeted in the capital program for valve replacements. And, you know, we try to exercise them as much.
Is there a similar type thing, a maintenance and inspection?
Nothing to this level of detail. Yeah, not yet. But we have a lot more valves in the system than we do fire hydrants. So the manpower to be able to go out and apply this kind of scrutiny to every valve doesn't exist right now. So we just kind of do it as sequentially as we can and get the best bang for the buck out of the maintenance crews. Unless you want to add something to that, Erica.
No, I mean we kicked off a new valve exercising program this spring. It's been going well. Like Pat said, we have a lot of valves, so to get through the whole system takes some time.
I think there's some training that needs to happen too on valve operation, right? So they don't,
Well, and Eric's doing that now. He's got sessions set up with some of the local fire departments.
Matter of fact,
To-
he's
to
coming to
train.
New Hartford on the 29th.
There you go.
So,
Who's responsible for the valve exercising?
We
Is
do
it
that
Our
ourselves.
folks.
We have a machine. It goes out, it'll work a stuck valve and try to free it up. That's the wax, right? You still using it?
So the training that he's referring to is of the fire department.
Fire
Right,
department
right,
operating the
right.
hydrants.
Not the valves for the fire departments.
Valve stem on the hydrant itself.
especially when you get a turnover in the departments and you got a lot of younger guys.
Yeah.
I know New Hartford's one that I brought the subject up once and I got a bunch of blank stares from all the younger guys. I said, yeah, it's time to get them out.
Yeah.
Anything else on this, Pat?
No, Jim has one or two other quick items.
Wait a minute, Jim, though, before we get to that, this nice colorful insert, I would like to point out the picture that is the second on the left side, the second down, that's Sue with gloves cleaning this room. And I do want to point out that's pre-COVID, so we were in rough shape way before this monster ever hit.
Oh my God.
We're looking for proof of work we found.
All right, Jim.
Temporarily, that's the picture for the administration department. It is only in testing phase, I would say. Oh, we're keeping that.
I'll send it to you, Alice. I have a few more. We're also
Lower left-hand corner in front there, Bruce. You gotta look closer.
On the front
Flip it
page.
over to the front. Flip it over.
flip it over, Bruce.
Now you're looking at the back, Bruce. Turn it over.
Oh, we're missing some pictures.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Um,
Yes, we are.
So we are redesigning our website. Gave you another handout with some samples of what this is going to look like. We've made it a standardized top-down menu system all the way across. A lot more graphics, a lot more customer-friendly. We feel. Looking at fall of this year, probably end of September, to have this rolled out. One of the upcoming board meetings will actually do a live demonstration, though, so we can go through it and see it. Just wanted to give you a heads up on it. The next thing I have, it says on the horizon here, we had to do a second bid for our phone system here. Our first bid, the company we have now, was a low bid and they could not provide the solution to continue with us. So we did a second bid. It was won by Spectrum Telecom. We were looking at sometime in August. We've been delayed 3 times because of them getting supplies and parts due to COVID. So we're looking at August. The good news is we actually came in below budget with that. So, last thing, well, 2 more things, sorry. The other thing, next thing is we're doing a Citrix deployment. And Citrix means that we will run all our programs from the server. Nothing will be run from the desktops. It's more secure. The desktops will be locked down. So more control of what's being done. The nice thing is the logon will follow the user no matter what machine they log on. So if they're at their desk or if they're in the field. We're testing now. We're looking for deployment in the fall of this year. And last thing I have for you is an update on the Brock contract, which is another handout you have.
That's under Pat. That's under Pat's
Oh.
executive director.
Pat, you want to do this?
Well, Brock, as you may recall, is the company that we hired and are paying for out of last year's bond proceeds to upgrade the SCADA system, which is the remote control and monitoring of the various points out in the system, monitoring tank levels and pumps, etc. Brock's been working very diligently on that. And Jim, you wanted to explain kind of where we're at right now?
Well, the highlights of this is we've upgraded 2/3 of the SCADA panels at the water treatment plant and have been tested and are working fine. We've done our first 4 distribution sites, which have been tested and are working fine. We've installed sensors at 12 remote sites and we are working fine. And we are on target to complete the project in March of 2022.
Yeah, it's moving along on schedule despite COVID and despite them having a hard time getting in and out of the country because from Canada, needing to get permission and everything else. But it's going along very well so far. Yep. Thanks, Jim.
You're up, Pat.
Okay, thank you. A couple quick items. I know we're covering a lot tonight, so I'll be very brief. Hinckley Reservoir is pretty much back to normal right now. It was down 6-7 feet below normal for quite a while, and the protocol for communication based on the elevation trigger that was in the settlement agreement was in effect. We were having weekly calls for, I don't know, it's the last 6 or 7 or 8 weeks. The Canal Corporation had voluntarily cut back the outflow out of the reservoir down to the absolute bare minimum of 200 CFS for several weeks to stabilize it and keep it from dropping. With a little bit of rain we've had, it's starting to creep back up. So as of this afternoon, they're actually going back to the operating diagram release rate. But I will say that we got a little bit imperiled early on. The Canal Corp did abide by all the agreements, made necessary adjustments, and it goes to show what we've said for years: proper management means there will be water for the future, and this was a great example of that. So, at this point, I got to say that the Canal Corporation has been living up to their end of the bargain and has been a pretty cooperative partner over the last 2 or 3 seasons.
That's refreshing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what's that? Oh yeah. No, I talked to Howard Goebel today on the phone, actually this morning. But the other piece is that with the new raw water line going in, the larger 54-inch diameter pipe that Eric is now working on for design and such, once that piece is in place, we'll be able to get water at much lower reservoir levels. So we won't be going through this sort of annual nail-biting thing when it starts to get a little low. It won't really have much effect on us after next year. So that's the good news. Second thing I want to mention is that there is a draft of a intermunicipal agreement that Eric and I and Ken Bobrow, our attorney, have been reviewing to kind of help coordinate this pipeline project that you've heard about going down into Herkimer County. Initiated originally to help out the village of Ilion, but now there are 5 partners on board down there, including the village of Frankfurt as a backup connection, the village of Herkimer as a backup connection, the town of Herkimer looking to service a new district. Schuyler has a new district going in. So all these towns are getting money. John Pasek, who's the executive director of the Herkimer County Industrial Development Agency, has done so far a great job of getting money from the state. There is another $10 million available that may come through to help support this project as well. But they're going to need, in order to release that money, an agreement between the towns and villages moving forward, and the IDA, and the engineers, and then eventually us to take this thing over and own and operate it when it's done. The first version of the agreement would have put us in the driver's seat and having the money funnel through us. The downside is that if the grant doesn't come through for the full amount, then the recourse was that there'd be a loan. Even though the towns and villages in the agreement would agree to pay the loan, we would have been on the hook for it. So as of a meeting literally 2 hours ago down at Ken's office, it looks like we're in agreement now that the IDA, the Herkimer IDA, will stay in the driver's seat for the duration of the project until it's completed, then turn it over to us to own and operate and supply the water. But I bring that up only because we'll probably have a more finalized agreement over the next 30 to 60 days. And more than likely, Eric will be reaching out to the chairman to set up a capital committee meeting to bring the draft agreement, once it's in more final form, to the committee, then to the board. But they will need that in place as they're trying to get the rest of the $10 million from the state. But with a little luck, this could be a $18 to $20 million project that's only going to cost the local users maybe $4 or $5 million in total. So it's moving along quite well, and the money's finally freed up from the state now that they're getting that federal money. Last thing I'll mention is that Congress is in the process of finalizing the new lead and copper rules. Phil Tangora, our water quality director, is overseeing our latest round of lead samples. Do we have all 53 in yet?
No, about half are.
About half of it.
Well, half have been collected.
Haven't been collected. So we're doing it over the summer. We'll find out what the results are. We have to stay under now at this point 10 parts.
Under 15 still for this.
It's still under 15. 10 would trigger though something new, right? Under this new.
Under the new legislation.
Yeah.
But that's the next sample.
But it's not in place yet. But eventually, our thinking is that we're going to be forced to replace all these lead services, and so there's a number of steps that go with it, and we're working on them now. So as we need any authorizations from the board, be on the lookout. It'll be unfolding over the next 6 months to a year, 3 years, before we get into the big bucks. So that's all I have for now, unless there's any questions, and we have a couple of other items for executive session.
Anything for Pat? Thank you. Any old business? Any new business? We need a motion to go into executive session regarding cybersecurity and collective bargaining agreement. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
And anybody opposed? Thank you.